2, 1. Oh yeah, yeah. There's a little bit of a lag.
There's a bit of a lag on my end. I think
Yeah.
this is all me.
Oh
Cause
no, Ben.
can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, but
You're just a little after me, time
yeah,
wise.
yeah. Well, I'm always a little bit delayed from your viewpoint, but yeah, I don't know what's going on here.
But it
I
says your high CPU usage is affecting the meeting quality. That's what it's saying to me.
really
Yeah.
my high CPU usage. I am
No,
wondering
no,
about that.
my high CPU usage.
Your
It's
high
saying it's my
CPU.
fault. Yeah.
Ah,
So I just looked at I accidentally looked at Jennifer's email. Betty was marked absent again for school today. She's fully remote now. So this is going to be a version of calling for Betty. This is calling Jennifer about Betty.
oh, do we really want to broadcast this?
It's just going to be me on my phone. You're not going to hear
Okay.
her side of the conversation. Hey, so I just got a note about Betty being absent again. So, and as you've said, I am not allowed to talk to her about it. So can you figure out what's up? All right. I'll talk to you later. Bye. So I'm not allowed to talk to Betty about school stuff.
Was there an incident?
I have actually, yeah, there have been incidents in the past. As you know, Betty and I are both autistic, and this is Betty's psychologist, not my psychologist. Betty's psychologist has recommended that I don't talk to her about school things because we clash when we talk about school. Like this. This is us. It's like this.
Yeah.
We our autisms get in the way of each other or something. It's a feedback loop. It becomes untenable, as they say. So
Alrighty.
yeah, it's too bad, but what are you gonna do other than talk to her even though I'm not supposed to? That's what I didn't.
Well, you call her mother and ask her mother to talk to her about it.
Yep. And for those of you who are listening, it's not like Jennifer and I live in the same house. We are, where our relationship is well. It's just that I'm on the podcast and she's upstairs.
Right.
And if I don't tell her now, when I'm actually looking at the email, I might completely forget about it. So it's worth looking. But this was the issue that we had last time that Jennifer and I were at home and Betty was also at home learning at school, is that Betty is, in high school. The thing is self-directed. We don't check with her and say, hey, did you go to school today?
Yeah.
She knows how to do it and where.
You just assume that when she's in her room during the day that she's attending class.
Yes. And especially because I'm not, again, allowed to check in. My guess, if I'm going to make a guess, it's probably PE. PE is one of those things where you don't attend a lecture, you do an assignment.
Yeah.
And if you didn't do the assignment, they mark you absent. So I'm guessing that might be it. I know I wouldn't do the assignment.
What's the assignment? Go outside, walk around the block, play volleyball, or play
like
kickball with a neighbor kid.
All I know is that there's a website that you sign into, and then they have instructions for you. Again, it's Squid Game, Ben. That's what it is. It's show up at this warehouse.
Exactly.
Oh man, I gotta say, COVID cases are spiking.
Yes,
here
all over
in
the country,
Madison County, and all over the country. People were entertaining at one point in time. People coming back to the office. We have all been asked to continue to telework. I, of course, can't help but telework because I am far away from where my office is. But I just feel more justified. And honestly, for me, it's better. I don't know about you, but when I'm teleworking and I'm on like a Zoom call, right?
Yeah.
I like everybody to be on a Zoom call. If I'm on a Zoom call and everybody else is in an office huddled around one of the speakers, it doesn't help. It doesn't help at all. Another Zoom person will come in and I'll be like, haha, brother, well met. Now we can talk.
Yes. I kind of got
much...
that. I kind of got that sense that you had that experience when you asked me about the postmortem for the D&D show and whether or not you were going to be the only one zoomed in.
Yep, exactly.
Because I have been at those Zoom meetings before, and it's not been like an official thing. It's been, just like a friend get together, a happy hour kind of thing. And me and like 2-3 other people were on Zoom, and there was like 3 or 4 people just like in a room together, and you can't hear what they're saying.
Exactly. That's right. That's the problem. Speaking about postmortems, so the D&D thing, we're going to do another one end of January.
End of January, yes.
And I have a D&D thing that's happening 10 days from now on Sunday the 16th. It's not for other people. It's just my home game. And I am a little bit concerned that one of the players may not be vaccinated, and I'm trying to figure out how to broach the subject without being confrontational.
This is an in-person game?
Yeah.
I'm assuming based on what you just said.
Exactly.
I don't know, man. Just like you're not coming to my house if you're not vaccinated.
Fully vaccinated, boosted, and I'm thinking about saying, hey, is anybody not vaccinated? Here's the thing. It's at somebody else's house. It's not at my house. So I'm kind of taking my lead off of them to see if they'll say it first. That kind of thing. What I think now that I'm saying it out loud, talking to you, what I should do is I should check in with them, with the person whose house it is.
Yeah.
Without, being on the group chat, and just ask them, hey, what do you think about this? How are you feeling? That sort of thing.
I mean, even if people weren't concerned about COVID before, and there are those people out there, they should be doubly concerned about it now because just what we've heard about this new variant and how transmissible it is.
That's the thing that I'm concerned about, is that and I I don't mean to stereotype, I guess, but the person has in the past seemed like someone who maybe doesn't necessarily
trust science.
Right, exactly. Now, but like I said, I don't have it's me suspecting. I haven't talked to them about it. Without getting too deep into it, at least one time they were wearing a t-shirt that seemed to have someone who used to be a leader of this country on it and did not seem to be ironic about it. And it was one of those things where I just didn't say anything. I wasn't running the game. I was just another player there. And it's none of my business, but it's one of those things of like, am I doing the wrong thing? Am I stereotyping? And it's like, well,
you could always call them on today and see what their opinion is on the anniversary of January 6th.
Hey, what's happening? Are you I don't know, celebrating anything today? Is there just coyly, what are you doing? You have some friends over at all? What's
Well, here's some input.
Are you sad about anything that didn't happen?
Here's some input from Steven about this whole situation. He says, "Do you want to role play? Try role-playing the conversation where you are explaining to Jennifer that you infected Betty with COVID because you just had to go to a D&D game."
Yeah. That's and see,
something like this. There was actually a bit of news about something like this where an old an elderly woman died because of like a bridge partner had COVID and wanted to still go to the game and didn't tell anybody that she was sick and infected like the host, and this person subsequently
Yeah.
died.
And Stephen, I take your point. I should say that Jennifer is very less concerned than I am, I will say, about our exposure and things of that nature. She is trusting that our multiple vaccinations and boosters and everything are giving us more defense than I am necessarily
Betty
trusting.
is vaccinated, right?
Betty is vaccinated. We tried to get Betty the booster. They won't let her do it yet. In
Okay.
our area, you need to be 16. She's going to be 16 on the 14th.
Oh my god.
So so we might just be waiting it out, but there's a chance that it's going to happen. I
But the
I'm
vaccine doesn't prevent you from getting sick. The vaccine just lessens the severity of the sickness.
well, yes and no. And when I say yes and no like that, it's because I asked Jennifer the same thing and she told me something different. I don't know, remember what it is exactly. Here's a concern that I have, and I don't mean to be an alarmist. I have an acquaintance. I'm choosing my words very carefully because I don't know how much. I have an acquaintance who is. There's a difference between being realistic and being pessimistic. What is the word? Fatalistic might be the word I'm looking for. There's somebody that I know who deals a lot with coronavirus vaccinations and things like that. They are very gloom and doom.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, everybody I know who works in the healthcare field is not having a good time and telling everybody that they know to isolate, mask up, get vaccinated.
The reason why I mentioned this, because the thing that you said about it doesn't stop you from getting it, it will reduce your symptoms. They said something very similar to that. Their only thing was that, in their opinion, it's going to be the people that don't have it or haven't had it is going to be rarer than the people who do. Like
Yeah.
And again, this is why I'm saying it's not pessimistic, it's not fatalistic. They're not saying you shouldn't do anything. I want to point that out. They're not saying you shouldn't, because there are some people who are like, well, it doesn't matter. It's like they do this with climate change too. Well, we're all screwed anyway, so I'm gonna not recycle or whatever.
Coal roll at my 4x4.
This is not what I'm talking about. I want to be clear about that. But the impression I got from them is that the chances of me I thought as long as I did everything, I wouldn't get it. There's a good chance that I still will get it. And that's something that I'm coming to grips with.
I have heard from a couple different sources that 60 to 90% of the U.S. population will get COVID in the next, I don't remember what the time frame was, but like Omicron is that transmissible that vaccinated, unvaccinated, doesn't matter. 60 to 90% of us are going to get it. So yeah, coming to terms with it is probably a good thing to save your mental anguish. But
so
as Steven says, we just don't know enough about long COVID, and whatever you can do to not get it.
Right. We were in Walgreens, and our Walgreens had COVID tests that came in.
Lucky
and
you.
They're sitting there and they're like, these are all that came in. You can't get more than 4 per person. And we got 1.
Yeah.
And I said, do we need to get more? And Jennifer's statement was, well, we're vaccinated and boosted. We should get 1 for Betty. But that's That's all that we really need. That's where I'm taking this statement from. Now, interestingly enough, there are a lot of people who, and I'm serious about this, the people who are in front of us asked, do you guys have COVID tests? They said yes. They went, they looked at the sign, they bought 4 of them. And the impression is that everyone that buys them, when they see that the limit is 4, they buy 4 no matter what. Everybody's buying 4 COVID tests. They're buying the maximum that they can have.
Yeah.
And it's a common behavior around these parts. Maybe in Seattle as well, but like as soon as you put a limit on how many times you can buy something, people will buy however much that limit is. It's almost like a marketing thing now.
It's pretty clever marketing.
But
when you're dealing with such a rare commodity such as COVID, like at-home COVID tests, I mean that it's what is it, like a doomsday scenario? That's why people buy all the bananas when it's going to snow.
Jennifer, could you come here for a second? What's that? Okay, yep. So Jennifer's going to come down.
Why?
I want to ask her questions about the stuff that I said that she said, so that we have verification rather than hearsay. Because, I care about the listener.
So I said being vaccine boosted doesn't prevent you from getting COVID. It just lessens the symptoms, because that, well, A of all, that's what I've been told. And B of all, I've heard from too many people that don't care. Like, they're like, I'm vaccine boosted, I don't have to worry. No, you still have to worry, because you can still give COVID to your grandmother, and she may be vaccine boosted, but she can still get it.
Yes.
So that's what I've been told.
Well, I do not discount what you have been told at all. What I was concerned about is the thing that I said Jennifer said may be incorrect. I want to make sure that I give her a chance to say what she said. If that makes sense. It's not looking great in here. As I mentioned, Betty is out of school. She's going remotely.
Right.
When she went remotely, she ended up failing all of her classes. When she went in person, she was all A's and B's. This is, from what I hear, not unique to her. This is a lot of things. And I think part of the reason is that when you're remote, and I could be wrong, but there are 2 things. One is when you're remote, the way that you talk to your friends and the way that you do school are on the same device.
Okay.
That's part of it. Like,
yeah.
And what would you rather do? But I think the other part of it is, I think I mentioned this before, back when I was doing low volt electrical work, trying to navigate how the union worked, and like how you actually sign up for the union and how you get jobs and how you show up for jobs and qualify and stuff. It's very complicated. There's a lot of stuff that you kind of have to navigate through.
Yeah.
And it's very similar to that. The software and like, for instance, Betty missing whatever it was that she missed today. Not surprising. Again, one time she got a note that said, we're not having a Zoom, go to this website instead. But she didn't get that until later. So she wasn't thinking about that class. She didn't look for that class because that class was already over. But the class wasn't over. It was just postponed. But there was nothing saying that the class was postponed. You get the idea.
I can only imagine how hard it is being
Yeah.
a student these days. Not just a student, but a teacher and an administrator and a parent. I mean, it's tough.
And that's
everywhere.
the thing. In cases where things aren't clear, specifically set up by the school in a certain way, and even sometimes when set up by a school, in a certain way, they, meaning the teachers, sometimes have to come up with their own way of dealing with something.
Yeah.
How they give a child credit for things and all that. The problem is that the teachers may have two different ways of doing things, and the kids don't know that their teachers have two different ways of doing things. So they do the same thing for both teachers, and one of them is wrong, and then they get in trouble. So it's too bad. You have Disney Plus, right?
I do.
Have you been watching the Book of Boba Fett?
I have seen the first episode, not the second.
The second one is out. And I think it's great. Did you see Once Were Warriors?
No.
Ah, okay. So the actor who plays Boba Fett
Tamura Morrison
was also in Once Were Warriors. That's the first place I saw him in. And he does a really great job there. And if you had told me that he was going to be Boba Fett, I would have been very excited, but also no way, like that. Like the thing I will say about the Book of Boba Fett is that by him being Boba Fett is no longer a blank canvas. In fact, they do something different than the Mandalorian. He's not wearing his helmet a lot.
I know. That was actually quite surprising when he walked into the cantina and just took his helmet off.
Yep.
Like, for everybody who's paid attention to the Mandalorian, we're like, you don't do that. That is not the way.
Yeah, but he also isn't. He's not a Mandalorian. It's one of those things where he got his armor fair and square, but I don't know exactly how that all works out. But I don't. Well, okay. I'm not doing any spoilers. This is just spoilers for episode 1. He's found by
Steven, if you've not seen episode 1, stop watching.
It's found by the Sand People. You know this. He's found by the
Jawas first.
Yeah.
Who took his armor, then the Sand People.
And then the Sand People. So what are the Sand People, right? They are also a group of people that never take their helmets off.
Their headgear off, yeah.
Headgear off. And is there a larger
human
reason
underneath
for it?
all that?
Yeah, what do they look like? And so for him not having his armor on at this point, right? Having his face exposed is maybe a little new,
Yeah.
He's exposed in more ways than one. So basically what I'm saying is I'm going to do a more realistic version of it's going to be kind of pretty much the same script, except Boba Fett, played by me, nude through the entire thing instead. Same concept, but it breaks a couple of taboos. And then the Sand People come and find me. I'm not hiding that much. And I don't know, I'm still working it out, but I'm trying to convince people to give me funding for it.
Steven always says that we're a very hostile podcast for our listeners because we just make it hard for people to find us and to listen to us. And we know that he is listening at the moment, and we are still hostile because I did just tell him to stop listening. Our one viewer, go away. No, but
no.
Anyway, I like the Book of Boba Fett. Boba Fett was never really one of my he was never one of my favorite characters in the Star Wars universe. He was always just like a bad guy, and I was happy that they got rid of the bad guy. But in the whole Jon Favreau verse that he's created, I like actually getting to know this dude much in the same way that Hawkeye, I got deepened Hawkeye's character.
Yeah.
For me, I didn't really care about Hawkeye in the Avengers movies, and in fact, we never really got to know him all that well. But the TV show has done a really great job of fleshing his character out. I think I've said this before, and so I'm looking forward to the Book of Boba Fett. Allowing me to go back to the Star Wars, to the original 3, and and appreciating that character more.
Yeah, and have I talked to you already about Last Man Fall? It's a it's a one of the comics in the Invisibles.
No.
So the Invisibles have a spoilers for the Invisibles. They have a thing called Last Man Fall, where you follow this guy and how he becomes a henchman, basically, for this sort of Illuminati-esque, world conspiracy kind of thing. And you find out how he gets there. And then in the end, he gets shot by King Mob, the leader of the Invisibles, this sort of anarchist terrorist cell kind of thing. And this story, right, about this guy takes place in the same shootout where he's just one of many cannon fodder people that get killed, right? You actually get to see the person behind the faceless guy that gets shot by our hero, basically. And I thought that was really cool. And I do think that the Book of Boba Fett and things like it are really great. And I put this in Twitter. I was on Twitter for a little bit today, just testing the waters and all that. I like the series that are from Star Wars better than I like the movies, I think.
That's not an
I think
uncommon thing. A number of people like the series more. Rebels is really popular.
Oh, yeah, I haven't seen that. I just the Jon Favreau ones. That's all I've seen, really.
Yeah.
And I think it's because I like the format better, but I do also think that there's something about the feel of it that fits kind of how I played when I was a kid, is what I said. So I want more of that. I would love to see, that what we had in comics when I was growing up with, you had all these different comics of all these different things in the shared universe that we now sort of have in the Marvel Cinematic Universe with the movies. I think we could do more with that with TV, where like every single, like, did you see all of Hawkeye?
I did. Yeah.
So Echo, right? The spoilers for Hawkeye, the woman with who is deaf,
yeah,
who Hawkeye was sort of helping in the end, kind of. She's apparently going to have her own, at least limited series on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Disney Plus. So if you could imagine every single character that is in the MCU having their own, like, at least 6 episode series.
Oh man, that's a lot of content to pay attention to.
It is a lot of content, but this is the thing, is that it'll get to the point where you don't need to pay attention to all of it. You can just choose what parts of this world you want to focus on, which I think is cool. That's like, I still think Alien versus Predator, kind of cool concept as a movie, great concept as a game if you could play as the aliens or the predators. But it'd also be kind of cool if you have a planet that's auto-generated, aliens versus predators, and then they fight, you run that simulation, and then an AI chooses which scenes are the most exciting, and then it makes an hour-long, like, presentation for you out of everything that you saw. And I think that with the surveillance state and everything like that, we might get something like that at some point in time, where if you have a big, massive computer that has access to all CCTV and everybody's phones and all that, you could put together a TV show, an arty kind of TV show, especially with drones and things like that, of, an hour in a certain location. And you can follow the people and, find an interesting story and all that. Did you see, I think it was called The Road Movie?
The Road Movie.
It was in Russian. It was a movie that was shot on, it's like a documentary almost, that's shot on dashboard cameras.
No, but that doesn't surprise me. Their dashboard cameras are very popular over there.
Yeah. It
Due
was
to
it
the
was pretty great.
rampant insurance fraud, from what I hear.
Oh, well, there you go.
At least judging by the subreddit dashcam vids.
That was one of the weirdest things. I've rarely run into hostile people. Knock on wood, you know. But there was one time when I was with my friend. It was either Tim or James Kern, and it's bad that I can't remember which one it was, but to my credit, they are identical twins. And this guy said, "Hey, would you guys like to do some insurance fraud?" And we were like, "No, that's all right." And he's like, "Because I've memorized your Illinois plates."
Oh God.
And we're like, "No, that's cool. Thanks though." Whatever.
Have a good day.
But yeah, exactly. Because I was like, what if he would have hit us then? Because that would not have been insurance fraud. That would have been an actual accident.
That would have been assault.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know.
It's really funny though. I do get a kick out of seeing those dashcam videos where the car is obviously stopped and a person runs up and jumps on the hood and then falls down.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, I understand why an entire culture has invested in dashcam videos. When I bought my car, it came with a GoPro mount like glued to the dashboard.
Was it a used car?
Yeah, it was a used car.
Okay.
And I'm not buying a new car. I don't have that kind of scratch on me. But it came with a GoPro thing, and I'm like, I'll just rip that off. But after a couple of times of a car running a red light in front of me, I'm like, maybe I'll keep it on.
Yeah. Remember you said you were just gonna use the bathroom? So I need you to help do a live fact check thing.
Okay.
So here's the situation.
My parents
I was
went
talking
away
about
on a week's vacation.
I was talking about how I was concerned about whether or not everybody that was playing D&D with me was vaccinated. And then I said, well, I guess what I could do is I could write to Tyler and say, hey man.
Right.
And then Steven said, well, or you could role play. What did he say exactly? Do you still have it up?
Try role-playing the conversation where you are explaining to
conversation where you were explaining to Jennifer
that you infected Betty with COVID.
That you infected Betty with
because
COVID.
You had to go to a D&D game.
Because you had to go to a D&D game. And I said that I didn't know if we would have that conversation. And I was basing it off of the talk that we were having about COVID tests.
Okay. What the fuck am I doing here?
So
what am I fact checking?
So the fact check is this.
What the hell? I mean, we had a conversation about like buying too many COVID tests because it said you could buy 4. We realized that I was like, we don't need to buy 4.
So this is what you're fact checking. Because this was something I didn't know and I thought maybe you did.
Okay. Does
the vaccine keep you from getting COVID, spreading COVID?
It is a vaccine is supposed to make you not a vector. Because in order for you to be a vector, you have to be carrying it around, and the idea is that it just sheds it right out of your body because you have got antibodies. It just sheds it right out. So that's why, like, you know, they say like you should get a flu vaccine because even if you don't develop the flu, you could still be carrying it around. But if you've had the vaccine, you're not going to be. So you will take yourself out of being a vector as well. But the thing is that we're experiencing incomplete immunity with the Omicron variant, so it's all very dicey.
Okay.
So, because the Omicron variant is a lot smaller and it's much more virulent, gets in past our defenses a lot easier. So, yeah.
So so the thing that I was confused about was
if you have incomplete immunity, you come home with the Omicron variant, you can give it to Ben.
So you're giving me permission. I have it on tape now. Uh, so no, but we didn't get 3 tests because the impression was that
No, we have our boosters. We are far less likely to develop COVID or to carry it with us.
Okay.
And it will be a few weeks before Betty can get her booster. So in the meantime, just have to be she has to be careful with what she's doing.
Gotcha.
But no, that's part of the reason for vaccines also prevent you from becoming a vector.
And so what we could say is, like anything, it helps.
It helps.
But you should not think of it as a 100% guarantee that something won't happen.
Right.
Okay. So that's good. I think Thanks, Jennifer.
Yeah.
So I think that we have at least done our due diligence, that anyone listening to the podcast for medical advice.
Well, the part about not being a vector was news to me, because I've always heard that you could still transmit it even if you were vaccinated.
Well, and I think that what she said kind of supports that idea at least a little bit, because if you have a breakthrough case, it can happen.
So vaccines work if you don't get it.
No, Ben, no. No, that the idea is, if you didn't get the vaccine, you would definitely be a vector. But if you, the way that I think I heard her describe it, God, for someone who's smart and knows about medical stuff, this must be so painful. And I apologize. But the idea is that if it is working correctly and you have the antibodies, you will not be a vector for spreading it. It's not the same as if you get it but don't have symptoms.
I mean, thank God we're not as influential as the Joe Rogan podcast, or we'd be screwing a whole bunch of people up.
There's a guy who does this thing that's really, really funny, where he takes the Joe Rogan podcast and he pretends like he's talking about the movie WALL-E with Joe Rogan, but it's something else. And he asks the questions in such a way that the answers that Joe Rogan is giving sounds like he's talking about WALL-E. It's really great.
Steven actually sent me a video that some guy made where he mashed up an interview between Bernie Sanders and Elon Musk. And it was actually really cleverly done. But it also, it made somehow, I mean, it did make Elon Musk come off as sort of, how am I to say this with since I watched it once, a week ago, but yeah, it made Elon Musk to be out to be made out as the bad guy in this situation.
The bad guy between Bernie Sanders and Elon Musk?
In a conversation between Bernie and Elon.
I could see how that could have, in general. I would say that if we're talking about villains versus heroes, with the exception of maybe Batman, having a lot of money usually puts you in the supervillain side of things. The people who can afford to have the giant fortress of, and the army outfitted with all the weapons and all that. Hey, wait a second. Yeah, that's Superman.
Superman's not rich, though. Speaking of, but he does have a fortress. Speaking of Tesla, so apparently they built all these tunnels underneath Vegas to avoid traffic, and they're just they're occupied by Tesla cars and with the drivers, like underground Tesla Uber, I guess, to avoid the Las Vegas traffic. Well, I saw a video earlier today where there was a traffic jam inside one of these tunnels.
Oh no!
It's inevitable to happen.
What did they see? What the cause was?
The video was just like some the passenger videotaping his conversation with the driver, and I guess they had closed off the entrances and exits to a particular stop, which was causing a backup.
Oh, well.
Don't know why that happened.
Obviously, you know.
You have a beverage endorsement or something? You're taking some really purposeful drinks there.
Sorry. No, Ben. No endorsement. Just drinking my
polar seltzer.
Orange vanilla seltzer, by the way.
Orange vanilla.
Yeah.
So it's like a creamsicle seltzer.
Like a unsweet creamsicle. And
nice.
Let me tell you, it's very interesting. So I was thinking about this. The idea, if I've got this right, that you have these tunnels under Las Vegas that you can drive your Tesla into and then just go super fast.
No, you can't drive your Tesla into. The Teslas are already in there with drivers. It's like a bus stop.
So the Teslas are in there. Wait a second. You got something here now. So it's like a bus stop. And there's a...
But instead of a bus Tesla, that is capable of carrying however many people a bus carries, a Tesla comes that is capable of carrying up to 5 people max?
Hold on, Ben, because I've got the next best thing. So imagine this, right? Because you're somewhere here with the bus. So you've got this tunnel. Imagine not just a bus, but like a bunch of buses in a giant chain of some kind. I don't know exactly what you would call it. And they carry all these people. And then you have scheduled stops, so you don't have to call them. You just wait, and one will show up and will just take you to the next place. And you just memorize where your stop is, and then you get... I think it could work.
I think you're onto something there.
I could be wrong. But what if you can't, I don't know, if you can't go underground, you might be able to have it like, I don't know, elevated in some way as well. That could be useful.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Might be an eyesore, though.
Yeah. Maybe it would work better if your elevated train, for whatever reason, just goes between 2 points.
Oh, it's called a train.
Constantly.
Oh, yeah. That's a mile and a half apart.
Yeah.
Takes 2 minutes, one and done. Still costs $3.50 one way, though.
Yeah, exactly. So nice. Boy. For people listening in the future, you're not gonna you don't know.
When the monorail fell down.
Did it? Wait, hold on. What?
No. For people listening in the future, in a future where Seattle has no more monorail because of a collapsing infrastructure or
right,
war.
Exactly. So I feel as though if I were to move to a city, and going to Canada, that's what I was going to talk about. So first of all, if I was going to move to a city, I wouldn't have a car anymore. Jennifer could have a car. Let Jennifer drive around, but I would not have a car anymore. It would be Jennifer's car. I would stop driving. I would take public transportation everywhere. I think I would feel a lot better about it. But this is what I was going to say. I didn't have a car. I did have a car. This is what I was going to say. I did have a car when I was living in Canada, but I never really drove around with it that much.
Yeah.
I got everywhere on foot just fine. So people are saying now, there was a Canadian professor who said that the United States was going to have a right-wing dictatorship by 2030.
Yeah, something like that.
And people
which
are
is 8 years away.
Yeah. Will people in the United States be able to claim political asylum in Canada? This is one of the things that people were asking after this article came out.
Or will we be turned away at the border we turn away refugees from our southern border?
Well, and I have a thought about that. Having had been in Canada for 5 months, it is hard to get to Canada. That's one thing. This is even in peacetime when not a whole bunch of people are trying to get. And I say in peacetime because if there's a right-wing dictatorship in the United States and they are looking to flex their muscles a little bit, what might they do? What might they have?
Are you going to say we're going to invade Canada in the 2030s?
I'm not saying that we are, but
I'm not saying we aren't.
trying to leave the United States to go to Canada because you're afraid of the United States isn't far enough. That's my basic point.
I do have a friend who says that he and his wife are moving to New Zealand, and
see, New Zealand is looking for people.
Are they looking for people? I always heard that you couldn't actually. New Zealand wasn't taking any new residences.
Well, you have to be useful.
You had to prove. Yeah, exactly. You had to prove your worth. And so this guy, I'm like, I don't know if New Zealand's gonna look at this guy's job description and be like, okay, fine, you come in.
Oh wait, okay, so, and let me. This goes to my second point, because when people are like, I'm just gonna move to Canada, the first question: do you know anyone in Canada? Is there someone in Canada who would be willing to put you up while you look for a place? Do you have a place in Canada? The reason I ask all these questions is because this is what they will ask you at the border. And if you say, well, I don't know, it just sucks here, I don't want to be here anymore, they're going to go, okay, you can stay here for, at maximum, 5 months.
Yeah.
And then after that, you got to come back. And that's going to be a little crazy. You can't work while you're there because you're not a Canadian citizen. You know, there's a whole bunch of stuff. And also, this is the other big thing that I recommended to people. Figure out why you're moving to Canada, and then look for the things that you're moving out of the United States to get away from in Canada, because they do exist. They aren't going to be as large necessarily, but like if you can't stand anti-vaxxers, I highly recommend you look up Canadian anti-vaxxer and watch a couple of videos, because they're there as well.
So,
and they're just as annoying.
You're saying for people who fantasize about moving to Canada to get away from the United States, never meet your heroes. Don't research Canada if you want to move there to get away from the U.S. because it's basically the United States, but you know they have health care.
Well, as an example, somebody said, I just really like how the Canadians treat their Indigenous people. Look up some things. That's all I'm saying. The United States is not good as far as their relationships with the Indigenous people there. We can all say that, not high on the list of good things that the United States has done. However, Canada also not that good. That's the only thing I'm saying.
Yeah, I just watched a Parts Unknown recently where he was in Montreal and talked about what this European explorer, I don't remember exactly where in Europe he was from, but the atrocities that befell the First Nations people who lived in this particular bay, and like how they were just completely wiped out within a matter of years.
If it's in Montreal, I'm not gonna speculate for sure, but I'm gonna guess some sort of French person.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe.
You're probably right.
But the other thing, and this is the big one, not everyone's moving to Canada, right?
Yeah.
If you're like, I'm going to go to Canada, you got to think about all the people that will be left in the United States. Okay, so you're a good. And somebody who lived in Georgia was talking about this. All the people who were like going to move out of Georgia. They're like, okay, great. You're moving out of Georgia. I am still going to live here because I am poor. I cannot leave. So you're leaving Georgia, and then I'm going to be voting by myself against all the stuff that made you leave Georgia. That sort of thing. It is. You know.
Oh, but if Representative Green had her way, if Democrats won't be allowed to vote in red states if they move there.
Oh, why is that? How does that work?
Because why would they?
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Why would we allow them? Why would we, as red state people, allow blue state people to vote in our elections if they move to our state? That seems really, really silly, doesn't it?
Sure.
Like counter to democracy.
Yeah, I mean, there are some times that now, like, and I think it's because in TikTok you can see their faces. I'm not exactly positive, but there are things that I would have engaged on in Twitter that I just don't bother. Like I'll watch someone and they'll have an opinion that I just can't fathom, and I have no interest in talking to them about it.
Yeah.
Asking them questions about why they think that way, because they have this sense of certitude that I'm not going to be able to make past. It feels like. So yeah, I don't know, Ben, but that's all I'm saying is that going to New Zealand sounds like it'd be fun, right?
It's a lovely place to visit. I'm lucky enough to have been there.
I don't know anyone in New Zealand. This is the big thing. And again, this might just be, Ben, it may be the fact that I'm autistic. It's possible. Maybe so. They do say that, I have a small social circle, whatever. I know people. I know people that I trust. Moving to a place where I don't know anyone makes me very nervous. And I'm sure that, some folks are like, well, we'll just go here and it will be fine. I'm not.
Definitely a change.
I'm not like. I guess I'm just concerned that it feels like leaving the United States, if it becomes a right-wing dictatorship, is probably the right thing to do, but also feels contrary to what would be best for the people who have less privilege than me, if that makes sense.
But also, you're not going to get 330 million people to move out of the States. So the symbolic, you're not the symbolic. I'm gonna leave the U.S. if Bush wins the second term. That.
Well, and that's the thing is that you and I heard this a lot, and most people didn't.
Yeah.
But the thing I'm worried about is, what if it's not symbolic? What if it's for survival? And then if it is for survival, if it is an actual, this is a problem. Are we abandoning people?
Well, I mean, I've spent the last 25 years building a community here, so I don't really want to just give it up on a whim.
And that's kind of my point, yeah.
And I feel like there's enough of a buffer in my town between like a dictatorship presidency and my local government. Like, granted, the new mayor's not the best guy, but like.
I didn't hear about this.
Well, I mean, it was whatever, but it was this is a relatively progressive enough area that I don't feel like my life personally is in danger. I can't say that for members of my community, people of color or non-gender or
well, non-gender, so also
yeah. But I was trying I'm searching for the right word, and I'm trying not to say the wrong thing. But
yeah,
all that being said, I feel like there's an insulation here that you maybe don't get where you live or in the South or other like really, really conservative places.
So non-gender, you could say agender, for example.
Yeah.
But the basic and this is exactly what you have right. If you have a community, you should consider staying and helping protect the community that you've built. I think that's the main thing. And that so far, especially if Bush wins the election, I'm moving to Canada thing, that is not that kind of sentiment.
Yeah.
It
is a very selfish thing to do.
Yeah. I guess that's
which is what this friend of ours, I know you know him. I'll tell you who it is after we stop rolling, but it is like he's fed up with the U.S. and he wants to move to New Zealand, and he's probably not going to be able to. But he wrote a really, really touching letter where the citizens of Seattle were begging him not to go. I thought that was a nice touch.
Really?
Yeah.
The citizens of Seattle were begging him not to go.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, this may not be the person I was thinking of. But yeah, Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It is kind of the height of individualism to do that, I think. Rather than, I don't know. I guess the part of it is I keep on hearing more and more people talking about what is it? It's, and you're gonna laugh when I don't get it right. When I talk about, but local action. It's a specific term for something where you help people out. Am I looking it up on my phone? Maybe. Where
Think
you
global,
help.
act local.
Well, yeah, kind of like that. It's called. We're so close.
Activism.
We're so close to doing it.
Keep it wrong,
Mutual
Paul.
aid. Mutual aid, Ben.
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about.
I do have a friend who has a group, and they go out and they help our houseless neighbors,
That is
bringing them new tents, new sleeping bags, food, water.
unlike the protest where you're standing out and you're trying to appeal to the masses to help you out with your cause. If you just are a small group of people and just do good for the people in your community, sometimes you can get a lot more accomplished. Because we're living in an age where some people do not have shame and cannot be shamed into changing their actions. So anyway, that's why I'm not moving, Ben.
Oh, you will be moving after Betty graduates high school. You said you're coming back here.
Oh, well, that's the plan. Here's the fun part. May happen sooner than later, depending on how jobs work, and it may be a different location. That's the other thing. Yeah.
Don't break it to me like that.
But I don't know. I don't know, Ben.
I had a spin the bottle dream last night. I don't know if you ever have dreams where you're performing at a spin the bottle.
All the time. All of my dreams. I've told you this before. In my dreams, I'm performing in spin the bottle. I have not rehearsed. You know I haven't rehearsed. You're pissed off at me, but you can't show it because we're on stage. So it just comes out in your voice like, hey, Ben, here we are again. That's right, Paul. We're here again to entertain people, which we're doing right now. You know, that kind of thing.
If it means anything, my spin the bottle dreams don't revolve around me being angry at you. They do revolve, however, me being on stage. But it's very like this dream specifically last night. There was like 10 people in the audience. And I like had a rehearsed bit, and it was just bombing. So I decided to just do stand up. And that bombed. So then I was just like, I just went and sat in the audience. I didn't even end it. I was just like, all right, I'm done. And I just go and sit in the audience. And I watched the rest of the show. That was my spin the bottle dream last night.
Yeah, it's very similar, except that it's almost the exact same thing, except that you're also there and mad at me. That's the difference. But yeah, all the time, Ben. All the time. That's a lot of dreams like sometimes, Ben, I'm serious about this. Sometimes I have good dreams about spin the bottle where we actually do something and it works and people like it. So that's something.
It's a beautiful dream.
I try to be positive, Ben. I really do. I feel like things can and will get better as long as we continue to care. And I think we can continue to care. I really do. I'm sorry that I'm laughing, but it's one of those things of like, yeah, if we don't have to give up. We don't have to give up. We can be good people and care about the people that we like. So, all right.
We can care about your beautiful mustache. I see you've removed the Lemmy part.
Oh yeah, I had to. And here's why. I wear my face mask.
Yeah.
The Lemmy part was breaking the seal. So I had to get rid of it so I could put the seal all the way through. And I think the mustache is nice. It's impressive.
A lot of my friends are getting big, glorious mustaches these days.
It's because you can't wear beards as much.
It does look pretty ridiculous with the mask on and then all this hair just flowing out under.
Yeah, and you got to ask yourself, how am I helping? How is this helping at this point? So
yeah.
All right, Ben.
All right, Paul.
It's that time.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wish you a good Keep It Wrong.
Yeah. Merry Keep It Wrong, sir.
Merry Keep It Wrong and a happy keeping it wrong.
Indeed. And I'll talk to you next week.